My name is Jordan Lasser, and I'm the senior class president. On behalf of the class of 2019, I'd like to welcome all of you, family members, faculty, staff, and guests, to our baccalaureate service. I especially like to welcome our guest speakers, Reverend Brian Barnes, Associate Pastor at Azalea Baptist Church, and Rabbi Jeffrey Arnowitz from Congregation Beth El. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Barnes to the podium for the invocation.
Good evening. In less than 24 hours, as you accept your diploma, you will graduate it. And I want you to know I'm proud of you. It takes a lot of work to graduate, and it's something that you'll remember for many years to come. But if we're honest, as much as you're excited, and maybe your parents are excited at the prospect of you being on your own, it can be a little bit scary sometimes. I've had the privilege of praying for all 63 of you by name for the last few weeks. Don't be scared. And through those prayers, I find myself being reminded that we are not on this journey we call life alone. And though that may seem like some kind of simple sentiment, it is something that we forget more than we remember. I spent the first 20 years following my high school graduation in the Navy. And you won't see it in their publicity posters or any of their TV ads, but I learned rather quickly that in order to be recommended for promotion, I must be better than the guy next to me, whether that meant stepping on his head or not. They didn't seem to mind. So after 10 years of having my head stepped on more than I care to remember, I began to take a different approach. I stopped listening to the me first talk, and I started to have a we first approach. And I find myself feeling better about myself. And I also began to realize that we were able to complete so much more together, with the added benefit of having so many people to celebrate our accomplishments with. But more importantly, I learned that the best way that we can honor those who we have the privilege of journeying through life with is to view them as more important than ourselves. This, by the way, is a way that God has created each and every one of us to be in community with Him and with one another. A radically life-altering as it is, think for a moment what your home life, what your community, what this school and this city would be like, could be like, if we humbly regarded others as more important than ourselves. Radically life-altering is who God has always been. And He invites us into this relationship with Him. Seeing others as more important than ourselves means the people we have the privilege of encountering throughout our life are much more important than any accolade, reward, award, or promotion. Because in life, the journey is the destination. Pray with me. God, we have gathered this evening with these young men and women and their families, recognizing this as a fun, challenging, and exciting time. We seek your presence in these moments that offers each one of us, graduate and parent alike, fresh reminders of the life that Jesus modeled. Grant us each a vision of your mercy, grace, forgiveness, and love that has been poured into our lives by others, so that we can fully realize how life-altering, how radical, how world-changing we can be if we challenge ourselves to view one another as more important than ourselves. Thank you for the path walked by Jesus, so that we can have a clear view of the only footprints to follow in this journey we call life. Amen.
A reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 12. Now the Lord said unto Abram, Go out of your country, and from your kindred, and from your father's house, unto the land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you, and make your name great, and you will be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless you, and one who curses you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So Abram went as the Lord had spoken unto him.
I'll be reading from the book of Leviticus, chapter 19. And when you shall come into the land, and shall have planted all manner of trees for food, then you shall consider the fruit thereof forbidden. 3 years it shall be as forbidden unto you, it shall not be eaten. And in the 4th year all the fruit thereof shall be holy, for giving praise unto the Lord. But in the 5th year you may eat of the fruit thereof, and that it may yield for you more richly the increase thereof. I am the Lord your God.
Philippians chapter 2. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility regard others as better than yourselves. Let each of you look not to your own interests, but to the interests of others. Let the same mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus.
First book of Peter, chapter 3. Finally, all of you, have unity of spirit, sympathy, love for one another, a tender heart, and a humble mind. Do not repay evil for evil or abuse for abuse, but on the contrary, repay with a blessing. It is for this that you were called, that you might inherit the blessing.
It is such a great privilege to be with you all on this evening before your graduation. In Judaism, we're very big on evenings before. All our holidays start the night before. Christians took that with Christmas. That's why I have Christmas Eve. Very big on the night before. So this is a momentous day, a momentous moment for you. And it is, I feel very blessed, very lucky to be able to speak to you at the beginning of this day of celebration for you. I chose two readings for today, and now I want to weave them together for you. The first one is the one from Genesis. It's the one about Abraham. It is maybe the first graduation message anyone ever gets. Right? God says to Abraham, Lech lecha, get up, go out from where you are now, and go to this place. You're not going to know where it is. You don't know exactly where you're heading. You don't know exactly how this is going to turn out, but you have to leave. Leave the home you know, leave your family, and leave the land with which you are familiar, and go to where I'm going to show you. And what does God tell Abraham the reward is going to be for getting up and going? You will be a blessing. You will be a blessing. Today, you guys are like Abraham. You are not completing a journey, maybe the leg of a trip, but you're all about to set out on a journey. And unlike the journeys you've been on so far, which have been very well supported and structured for you, it's going to get a little less predictable, I should say, as you move forward from here. So why make the journey? Because you too have that opportunity to be a blessing. But how do you do it? What does it mean to be a blessing? Well, I want to explain it to you by sharing with you one of the great psychological experiments. Happened in 1970 at Stanford University. It was called the Stanford Marshmallow Experiment. So this is how it works. They would bring a little kid into a room, and they put a marshmallow in front of him on a plate. And they tell him, all right, so here's what you can do. You can eat this marshmallow right now. Or, they put another plate in front of him with a bunch of marshmallows. Or, I'm going to leave the room, and I'll be back in a few minutes. And if you can wait till I get back, you could have this whole plate of marshmallows. So what would you do? Would you grab the marshmallow or would you wait? Now, all right, one honest man among you. Okay, so they went ahead and they did this experiment, and overwhelmingly the kids grabbed it. A few kids managed to wait, but they also measured how long the kids waited. They also measured how the kids behaved. They did this, by the way, many times, not only with marshmallows. My favorite video, you can YouTube this, it's fascinating to watch videos of kids going through this experiment. My favorite one, they have Oreos. Why do I love the Oreos? Because the kids are so funny with the Oreos. They're sitting there waiting, and all they want to do is eat the Oreos. So they'll pick them up and they'll smell them, They'll lick them. But my favorite are the kids who cheat. They're kids who open up the Oreos, eat out the frosting, then close it back up and put it back. So this is the famous Stanford Marshmallow Experiment. So what they're measuring is the ability for someone to delay gratification for greater reward, right? That's what this experiment is all about. Can I delay gratification for greater reward? And they did some measuring of different populations who went through this experiment. And lo and behold, the children who were able to wait longer and get the greater reward, more marshmallows, had a greater chance for success later in life by several different measures. Higher test scores, higher incomes, more success in family life. You name the way that you might measure success, and overwhelmingly, those who could wait for the more marshmallows had greater success in life. It's a pretty important insight. but it's not really a new insight. It wasn't first explored in 1970, I would say. We find it about 3,500 years earlier in the Bible, in the book of Leviticus. And that was the second reading that I gave you, right? So I don't know how many of you are going on to agronomy school, how many of you are going to be farmers, but the early Bible assumes everyone's going to be a farmer. And that's what you did back then. So they're telling you, when you come into the land and you've planted all the food you're going to plant, if you plant a new plant, you cannot eat its fruit for the first 3 years. Okay, so first 3 years you can't eat the fruit. Then it says on the 4th year, you can pick the fruit, but you can't eat that fruit either. That fruit you need to give to the temple in Jerusalem, you need to give to the poor, you need to dedicate it to someone else. And only in the 5th year can you then start to take that food for yourself. It's kind of a strange law. The first 3 years we can understand. Maybe it's better for the tree if you don't pick the fruit. And so when it says, by doing this, ultimately you're going to get more yield, okay, fine. But what about that 4th year? That 4th year, you're picking the fruit, and you still don't get to eat it. You have to stop, and you have to give it to someone else. Dedicate it to others, those who might be hungry, those who serve special purposes in society. Right? This is also about delaying gratification. You worked hard, you planted your, apple tree. Right? Why shouldn't you get to pick the apples right away? This idea that we can pause and delay gratification, now with the added sentiment from Leviticus of something greater than ourselves, that is a key to true success in life. Graduating from high school is a wonderful thing. You don't really know how wonderful it is yet. We all, who are making a big fuss about you, and you're kind of like, Mom, I'm just graduating high school, everybody does it, You don't understand. These folks around you, they've watched you grow. They've watched you take on your personalities, achieve, figure out what your interests are, start to set the direction of your life. This moment is exciting for you. It is amazing for them. So you have achieved something today that is more special than you even know. But that idea of success, right? You're leaving here and you're thinking about what school you're going to go to, or what sports you're going to play, or what business you're going to start, or how much money you're going to make, or how you're going to change the world. All of that's great. All of that is success. But the true question that is going to be the measure of your lives is, will you be able to delay that success a little bit to include others in it? Will you be able to put off the rewards that life has to offer, the marshmallows, if you will, in order to share some of that success with others? It'll slow you down in getting to that place where you want to go. But ultimately, life is about more than getting to the finish line. Life is about how you get there, and it's about who you get there with. And by stopping and taking some of that precious time, the greatest commodity that we get in life, and dedicating that time to others, dedicating that success to others, sharing those rewards with others, you'll find a greater success than you can possibly imagine. Which brings us back to Abraham. What are the blessings that Abraham brought into the world? How is Abraham a blessing? Well, God tells him what the marshmallows are. What does God promise Abraham? He says, if you do this, I'm going to make your offspring as numerous as the stars in the sky, as numerous as the sands on the seashore. So that's the marshmallow. And by the way, it might have come true. Right? We're 3,500 years on. Abraham and his wife Sarah, I'm sure, have offspring too numerous to count. But what if God didn't really mean your offspring as your children? What if the stars that God was promising Abraham was that if you stop along your journey, right, when you go out where I show you, stop along your journey and dedicate time to others, help people, volunteer, give charity, share your talents with those who are in need. Every time you do that, there will be another point of light in an otherwise dark world. There will be another light to guide those who are lost among the chaos. So Abraham's blessing, to go out and be a blessing, means to maybe put off the rewards in order so you can be a star. And you, like Abraham, have that same opportunity. Today I want to encourage you not to worry so much about where you're going. Don't worry about what you're going to achieve. Don't worry about the experiences that you have. People are going to tell you over the next little while, go and experience everything. You have the opportunity to experience everything. The experiences aren't what's important. This graduation experience is nice. We were talking before we came in, and I was saying how I don't remember anything anyone ever said to me at any of my graduations. That was high school, college, rabbinical school. But you know what I remember? I remember who was there with me on those days. It wasn't the experience that mattered. It was who I was sharing it with. It wasn't what I achieved that mattered. It was the relationships I had formed and how I got there. It was the good I was able to do along the way. My dear graduates, my hope for you today is that you focus a little less on the marshmallows in life. You'll have them. Today is one. This is a treat. You've accomplished something great. We are proud of you. You should feel great about yourself. We are certainly all very impressed by you. As you go forward, as you continue on your path, as you go forth like Abraham on your journey, I hope you can hear God's message for Abraham ringing in your heads and follow it as well as Abraham did. Go be a blessing. The night is dark. The rewards are waiting for you. You'll get those sweet, delightful rewards along the way, but make sure that you share that success with others. Make sure you take the time to give to others. Make sure you take the time to form the relationships that will matter for your whole life long. Dedicate some of that time. Dedicate some of those rewards. And you, like Abraham, can be the stars guiding others through difficult times. Then not only will you get the marshmallows life has to offer, but you will shine as bright as the stars in the night sky, as constantly and forever. We wish you our congratulations and wish you well on the journey.
Rabbi, you forgot to tell them that part of the reason we don't remember is because we are old.
Yes.
So when the dust settles and you've gone through all of your graduation celebrations and you prepare to venture out into what us old people call the real world, I hope you allow yourself some downtime. And that in that time of silence and solitude, that you are able to find some sense of peace to spend time alone. I hope that in those moments, and as you leave this building tonight, that you will look back and recognize the value, the life-altering, radically different life that God is calling you to lead. That no matter our impulse to lash out at others when we feel like we've been wronged in some way, that there is greater value in listening to one another, understanding one another, and looking at different perspectives. Doing so allows each of us to have a voice to better understand what unity is and in a world that is filled with individualism and disunity. And I know that you've heard and will continue to hear many great words of wisdom from so many people. I have every confidence you can fully live into who God has created you to be, a light in the darkness, a voice of integrity that pushes back against the idea that any one person is greater than any other. But please realize that our greatest strength is found in community, while remembering that the journey is the destination. I've been gifting graduates for the last 15 years one of my favorite books. It's called Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. Believe it or not, there's a lot of great wisdom in this book and a whole lot of pictures too, so that's helpful. But I think it's appropriate that we end our time together this evening with one of my favorite quotes from that book. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself wherever you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you'll be the one to decide where you'll go. Pray with me. God, we are grateful that our life stories have brought us here together this evening. As much as we can be consumed with graduation, celebrations, decisions by the dozen, and new relationships and new environments, we recognize that this is really your story. It's always been your story. May these graduates and their parents take the time to recognize your presence in their life's journey. Provide them with an inexhaustible hope and an endless innovation, so that they might endure and live more fully into their God-given purpose. Allow them the ability to face life's challenges and celebrations as a community wherever they may be, regarding others as more important than themselves. May hope carry them through the challenging times, and gratitude be their response when life is good. May their days be filled with curiosity and adventure, and may they discover the incomparable joy of living lives that bring honor and glory to God.